Hello friends, welcome back as we are going through Plato's Apology together. I'm reading it and offering a personal commentary, kind of my reflections, how I understand it now. Look in the description below for links to the playlist where this is from. If you want just the apology with no commentary or anything, there's a link for that as well. So there's a link also to the text that I'm reading, so if you want to go there. And I'm starting where it says, I dare say Athenians. Right. And so he's been talking about, in the last paragraph, this idea of how do we know who our trainers are, who are the trainers of human excellence, who knows what human excellence is. And that's kind of the wisdom that he's after, and that he's saying that he doesn't really have, but supposedly there are some people out there who have it, and blessed are they if they have that kind of wisdom. And so he continues now. He says, I dare say, Athenians, that someone among you will reply, why is this, Socrates? And what is the origin of these accusations of you? For there must have been something strange which you have been doing. All this great fame and talk about you would never have arisen if you had been like other men. Tell us then, why is this, as we should be sorry to judge hastily of you? So he's imagining them saying, well, Socrates, what's going on? Then why are you here? If you're just like other men, if you've just kind of done what everyone else has done, then you wouldn't be here right now. So what have you done wrong? He says, now I regard this as a fair challenge. He says, okay, fair enough. You're right. And I will endeavor to explain to you the origin of this name of wise and of this evil fame. Please to attend then. And although some of you may think I am joking, I declare that I will tell you the entire truth. All right, so now he's going to explain why he thinks he has this reputation and where it came from. Men of Athens, this reputation of mine has come of a certain sort of wisdom which I possess. So he does have some wisdom. He says a certain sort of wisdom which he possesses. Okay, so what does that mean? He's going to explain. If you ask me what kind of wisdom, thank you. By the way, this is great. Notice I was asking this question. And then that is the very next line. When you read a book, especially a philosophical book, and especially Plato, it works so well with Plato, you should be talking to the text. You should have a conversation with the text. The author is talking to you through the text, and then you can talk back. You can ask questions, maybe not out loud. People might think you're crazy, but at least mentally, be questioning what it is that the author is saying, and then maybe anticipate what's going to happen, right? Entering into philosophy, this is entering into this great conversation. And he says, so if you ask me what kind of wisdom, I reply, such wisdom as is attainable by man, for to that extent I am inclined to believe that I am wise. So he has whatever it is to be wise as a man. Whereas persons of whom I was speaking have a superhuman wisdom, which I may fail to describe because I have it not myself, and he who says that I have speaks falsely and is taking away from my character. So he's saying there's a superhuman wisdom and just a regular human wisdom. He has the human wisdom, he's saying. Other people claim to have the superhuman wisdom. And again, what all this means, we're gonna find out. And here, O men of Athens, I must beg you not to interrupt me, even if I seem to say something extravagant. So you can imagine people calling out to him and interrupting as he's trying to speak. It's a big crowd. For the word which I will speak is not mine. I will refer you to a witness who is worthy of credit, and will tell you about my wisdom, whether I have any and of what sort. And that witness shall be the god of Delphi. Ooh, so he's calling in a witness. He's calling in the god of Delphi. Where does this come from? It says, you must have known Chaerephon. He was early a friend of mine and also a friend of yours, for he shared in the exile of the people and returned with you. Well, Chaerephon, as you know, was very impetuous in all his doings, and he went to Delphi and boldly asked the oracle to tell him whether, as I was saying, I must beg you not to interrupt. So again, they're calling out. He's trying to tell his story. I must beg you not to interrupt. He asked the oracle to tell him whether there was anyone wiser than I was, and the Pythian prophetess answered that there was no man wiser. So Chaerephon went to the Delphic oracle and asked, is there anyone wiser than my friend Socrates? And she said, no, there's no one wiser than your friend Socrates. So that's his witness. that he has this human wisdom, but the superhuman wisdom nobody else has. And then he's going to get into exactly what that looks like. How he's been saying he doesn't have wisdom, and yet the God of Delphi is saying that he has wisdom. So what's going on here? Chaerephon is dead himself, but his brother, who is in court, will confirm the truth of this story. Okay, so Socrates has gotten this news from his friend Chaerephon that according to the Delphic oracle, no one is wiser than him. And again, Socrates is convinced that he's not wise. So what could this possibly mean? He says, why do I mention this? Because I am going to explain to you why I have such an evil name. Right, so this is a long time ago, kind of in the beginning, you could say. When I heard the answer, I said to myself, what can the god mean? And what is the interpretation of this riddle? For I know that I have no wisdom, small or great. What can he mean when he says that I am the wisest of men? And yet he is a god and cannot lie. That would be against his nature. By the way, that's a little bit of a dig at the gods of the Greeks, right? Because some of them were deceitful. Some of them did lie. But Socrates is saying that according to the nature of a god should not lie, right? And that's the teaching of the Christianity and Judaism and Islam, is that God does not lie. He's the God of truth. So he's kind of in line with what we would say about that. And people would go to the Delphic oracle, and they took these things very seriously. So they would ask the Delphic oracle, are we going to win this battle? And the Delphic oracle would say something like, victory is certain. But there's mystery there. Victory for who? For us or for the other people? Yes, victory is certain. And so they took these oracles seriously, but the answers were often in the form of a riddle. How do you solve this riddle? What is the meaning of the riddle? And he says, after long consideration, I at last thought of a method of trying the question. So he's going to do kind of an experiment here. I reflected that if I could only find a man wiser than myself, that I might go to the god with a refutation in my hand. I should say to him, here is a man who is wiser than I am, but you said that I was the wisest. Accordingly, I went to one who had the reputation of wisdom and observed him. His name I need not mention. Okay, so what he's saying is that his experiment is he's going to go, in order to figure out the solution to the riddle, he's going to find someone wiser than himself, take that person to the oracle and say, this person's wiser than me. You said I was the wisest. What's the solution to the riddle? So then he went, someone who had the reputation of wisdom, and he went. This is accordingly, I went to one who had the reputation of wisdom and observed him. His name I need not mention, so he's not going to say who he went to. He was a politician whom I selected for examination, and the result was as follows. So there was a politician that he went to kind of interview to see what kind of wisdom he had. He had the reputation for wisdom. A politician, if they're going to take on themselves the duty and the responsibility of governing people, they must be very wise to know the nature of the human person, the nature of laws, justice, and those kinds of concepts, and then to be able to apply them. That requires a ton of wisdom. So when he interviewed him, here's what happened. I went and tried to explain to him, wait a minute. He says, when I began to talk with him, here it is. When I began to talk with him, I could not help thinking that he was not really wise, although he was thought wise by many, and wiser still by himself. So he interviews him, and he's like, this guy is not that wise. But a lot of people think he was wise, and he thinks that he's wise. He himself thinks that he has that kind of wisdom. Interesting. And the consequence was that he was not really wise, although he was thought by wise still. And I went and tried to explain to him that he thought himself wise, but was not really wise. So then he tries to explain to that person, look, you think you're wise, but you're really not. Okay, bold move, Socrates. But that's what he does. And the consequence, surprise, surprise, was that he hated me. And his enmity was shared by several who were present and heard me. So there are other people around. This isn't taking place in like a private sitting room or something. So I left him, saying to myself as I went away, well, although I do not suppose that either of us knows anything really beautiful and good, I like that phrase, to know what is really beautiful and good. That is a goal of wisdom, to know true beauty and goodness. Anyway, so neither of us knows anything really beautiful and good. I am better off than he is. Well, why is Socrates better than he? Neither of them knows true beauty and goodness. For he knows nothing and thinks that he knows. I neither know nor think that I know. Okay, so that guy, he doesn't know, but he thinks he knows. So in addition to not being wise, he's also not wise about his own lack of wisdom. Socrates, on the other hand, he knows that he doesn't know, and again, he knows it, right? So he's wise on both accounts. He's wise about not knowing, or he's wise in the sense of knowing that he doesn't know. So the other man is foolish on both counts. He doesn't know, but he thinks he does know. 2 counts. Socrates doesn't know, but he knows that he doesn't know. And that knowledge that he doesn't know is what makes him wise and makes him wiser than the politician. I neither know nor think that I know. In this latter particular, then, I seem to have slightly the advantage of him. Then I went to another who had still higher philosophical pretensions, and my conclusion was exactly the same. I made another enemy of him, and of many others besides him. So Socrates is continuing this practice. He goes to this politician, interviews him, he's not wise, he tries to tell him he's not wise, and he makes an enemy out of him. And then there are other people around as well who are forming judgments, either liking what Socrates is doing or not liking. And as a result, so he's picking the politicians in Athens, say the most powerful people in Athens, and he's making enemies of them. Okay, so that's part of where this comes from. And I'm about at my time limit. I try to limit these to 10 minutes. I'm already over. And so I'm going to continue with this in the next video. So please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.